of 3-year-old Jeremiah. William, you are not the father.
Baby? Where you at?
I like it.
You still gonna take the paper down there?
I like it.
You still gonna take the paper down there?
No, man.
It's not his.
Still yet.
It's not his. And Allegra, we'll be glad to help you find out who the father is if you want us, all right? We'll be glad to. You would think.
All right. Good evening. Good Sunday evening. So I'm back again. I took a break last Sunday for Easter, and I hope everyone had an amazing Easter weekend. I, for the first time in a very long time, I actually took an entire day off from all forms of work. That rarely happens. But I had to take off last Sunday for Easter and to spend time with my friends and my family and to honestly just not work for at least one day. Okay, let me see what's happening. It says we're having trouble streaming to Facebook. Okay. All right, I can't do anything about that. I'm not sure what to do about that. Good evening. I just want to, there we go. I'm going to put that at the bottom. And for some reason, let me see if it'll allow me to change, because for some reason, all right, y'all. There we go. Yeah, for some reason it changes my color, but I don't know why. Why is it doing that? Yeah, it has totally changed up the color that I normally would use. And I'm not sure why that is. So, okay, I told y'all I'm over here struggle streaming. So it is what it is. I'm going to go back. There we go. And try to figure out why. There we go. Okay, I was trying to figure out why my color wasn't showing correctly. All right, so we're having some sort of trouble streaming to Facebook. So unfortunately, I don't think there's anything I can do about that. I apologize to everyone over on Facebook, but if you are here on YouTube, if you're on Instagram, head on over to Instagram or YouTube is what I'm going to suggest. And I want to let you know that Introductions is live. I have not started the marketing campaign for it, but I have been talking about it in all of my videos. Introductions is the matchmaking service that I have started. And if you go to the link in the description box below, if you go to my pillar link over on Instagram, the first link that is there is so that you can create a profile. You can fill out a jot form and create a profile for Introductions. And what will happen is, depending on the city or state or country that you live in, your profile will be put into a folder. And in about a month or so, when I start making matches, your profile will be available to other people who are interested in meeting people in their same city or state or country. It doesn't cost you anything to do this. If you are interested in meeting someone to have genuine friendship with, genuine romantic relationship with, possibly get into a long-term relationship or get married, please go to the link. It's my pillar link in the description or the link in my Instagram bio. And the first thing you come to is called Introductions. So it doesn't cost you a thing to complete that form and fill it out and have your profile tucked safely in my drive, depending on where you are located. So I just wanted to put that information at the bottom. Let me go to the comments, see what is happening. Okay, but yeah, we're having trouble with Facebook, so I'm not really sure what is going on there. Good evening, Rhonda Payne. Thank you for joining me. So what are we talking about tonight? We are talking about the high cost of paternity fraud. And I actually had dinner with my family tonight. My mom was, blown away by some of these videos that I was showing her. And then, of course, she asked me if I wanted to do something so salacious. But I told her that since doing my own research on paternity fraud, it has come to my attention that this is an issue that is more pervasive than I ever thought. Like, who knew that this was a whole thing? That there are hundreds of thousands of people out there who are suffering because of paternity fraud. So, we're going to take a look at some videos tonight. We're going to talk about what is paternity fraud. We're going to hear from Diana Thompson. She is the founder and director of Women Against Paternity Fraud. There is an organization headed up by women and led predominantly by women, and they are against paternity fraud. Good evening, Dr. L. All right, I'm going to put some of these. Good evening, Rhonda Payne. All right. Good evening, Dr. L. Thank you for joining. Okay, so we are going to take a listen and find out all about paternity fraud. What is it and how pervasive it is? And then we're going to talk a little bit about what we can do about it. The reason why I'm bringing this to your attention, if you are a woman watching this is one of the ways that I want women to start holding other women accountable. We have got to create a really strong force of folks that say, no, we can't allow this to continue. We have to put our foot down. We have to be able to call this type of behavior out. So we're going to take a listen to Diana Thompson, and she's going to talk to us all about what is paternity fraud. Take a listen.
Paternity fraud occurs when a mother names a man to be the father of her child when she knows or suspects he is not the father.
Throughout history, societies and their laws have always had an interest in paternity establishment. Who will be the king? Who is born a citizen? Who is born free or slave? And who will inherit the family estate? True paternity was often difficult to establish because we lived in a pre-DNA world in which presumptions served the useful purpose of solving paternity cases. The presumptions were a substitute for truth at a time when truth could not be obtained. In the past, injustices could occur because we were simply unable to be sure about the identity of the child's father. We now live in a world in which truth is available. For less than $100, we can know with certainty whether a particular man is or is not the father of a particular child. But beware, because DNA testing sometimes isn't enough because of a statute of limitations. In 1988, the U.S. Supreme Court noted that there is only a small window of opportunity to contest the paternity in accordance with the state law they reside in. In California, it's 2 years, and other states have similar limitations. Presumptions and limitations that were useful in the pre-DNA world should give way to truth and to justice today. We are living in a time where there is no excuse for continued injustice.
Paternity fraud can happen in many ways. Default judgments, presumed paternity, in-hospital acknowledgement forms, and lack of legal representation.
Let's talk a little bit about child support and why so many men are paying for children they didn't father. In LA County, 80% of paternity establishments are entered by default judgment, whereas for the state of California as a whole, the number is 68%. However, California is not alone. Men who have default judgments against them never knew about their court hearing. They never got their day in court, and they have never taken a DNA test. Oftentimes, men are jailed for non-payment of child support for children they did not father, but have a default judgment against them. Paternity fraud has devastating effects not only on men, but the women in their lives, their spouses, girlfriends, mothers, aunts, grandmothers, relatives, and especially on children. Women Against Paternity Fraud is not just for victims, but for anyone that supports the falsely accused, who believe in due process rights, and supports truth and justice. Restoring fairness and balance to a system that is not interested in truth and justice is not a gender issue.
Check out our website and become a member. Help us to help paternity fraud.
All right. Women Against Fraternityfraud.org. So we learned a little bit more about paternity fraud. And, you know, the long and short of it, I'm going to give you a famous saying that my mom and I were talking about tonight. I said, you know what the old folks say? Mama's baby, daddy's maybe. The only thing we can know for certain on site is that the mother is carrying her child. That's what we know. When we look at a pregnant woman, we know with certainty that she is the mother. We don't know if the man that she is with, whether they are married or unmarried, we don't know if he is the father. And this is becoming more and more prevalent. I'm just going to say hello to a few people who entered in. October, good evening. She says, happy Sunday, all. I hope everyone had a good weekend. Yep. Sister Jay, thank you for joining. Hello, Sister Anita. All right. UFO Kamikaze 1, good evening, all. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you. October says, I'm going to say this off the rip. There should be mandatory DNA testing at hospitals at birth. And we have people for, and we have people against. So I want you to let me know your thoughts about that. I am not even going to attempt to figure out how to put a poll in the chat, but I want you to let me know if you're for mandatory DNA testing at the hospital or if you're against it. And my second question to you is, who will pay for it? Okay, Rhonda Payne says, I agree, October. Who will pay for this testing? Who do you think should pay for it? Is it paid for by the parents? Is it paid for by the government? I would just be curious to know that as well. Dr. L says, in France, DNA testing for paternity is illegal. That is crazy. That is straight crazy. I had no idea. Good evening, Melanin Goddess. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Okay, baby Moses. Yep. So just let me know in the chat if you are for every baby born in a hospital or a birthing facility, is there mandatory DNA testing? Or are you against it, and who pays for it? That's what I'd be curious to know. So lots of ways that paternity fraud can come about. The woman can be at the hospital. She can name any name as the father. So whether the father is there or not, whether he signs the birth certificate or not, you know, there is a birth certificate that has his name on it that the mother gives. But if he does not sign an acknowledgement of paternity form, my understanding is that he can fight that. It doesn't matter if she just gives his name. He can fight it. But as the video showed us, if he's unaware of it and it goes to court and, you know, he doesn't show up at the court date, there could be a default judgment against him. So yeah, it's crazy. And then you have the good old, oh, I'm in a marriage and I end up pregnant, and you have assumed paternity, which is the husband is assumed to be the father of the baby. But what if he's not? What if the woman was unfaithful in the marriage and he is not the biological father? So you have lots of ways that this can happen. And to me, it's absolutely crazy that some of the stories that I've heard and some of the things that I've seen in doing the research about this. All right, let's see. Commando 0110. The DNA test should not be mandatory, but it should be mandatory to do the test upon request of one parent. I will not answer who should pay. Okay. I'm just curious about that. For mandatory testing, parents should pay. Okay. That's Melanin Goddess. Good evening, Dr. Anwar. Greetings, Anita. I'm for. Just shared on my Facebook page. Okay. All right. TL Wilford says, I'm for testing and both parents should pay. Okay. All right. I say yes to mandatory DNA testing at the birth. Husband are not always sure if their children are theirs. Whomever has doubt should pay for the test. Okay. That's fair. All right. October says it should be included in the already high expenses of giving birth. I agree with that. Yeah. The hospital is making a killing. So what's another swab? Like, come on now. Should be included in the hospital bill. Okay, Dr. L. You women out here doing this trifling efforts. Okay. Yep. Game of Thrones. Oh yeah. Don't get me started. That's a good idea. October included in the birth bill. Yeah. All right. DNA testing at birth should be mandatory in order to have a birth certificate and social security number given to the child. I like it. I like it. And yet, you're going to have a percentage of people. And guess what gender those people are going to be? That are going to say no. Why would we do that? Why would we do that? You're making me feel some kind of way. Like, you're making me feel some kind of way. Right? Because remember, it's all about feelings. And you having the audacity to suggest something like that is making me feel bad. Forget the fact that I want the biological truth. I actually want the facts. I want the truth. But if it makes people feel bad, right? And that is where we are in today's society. So it's absolutely crazy. Nick says, yes, parents should pay. Okay. It's to me, it's crazy where we have landed. Absolutely crazy. I want to show you another video. This is a really good story. It's from the Red Pill movie by Cassie J. And it talks about paternity fraud. And in the next video, I'm going to show you the actual woman that he is talking about in the story. She actually is an advocate. She's an advocate for paternity fraud now, and she has worked with Diana Thompson in her organization. She's a member of her organization. So I want you to check out this video.
Remember I told you earlier about the situation involving a woman?
Which one?
The paternity fraud victim.
Oh, yeah. How does that happen?
Nice lady, Southern California. She's, matter of fact, she called today. I forgot to call her back. And she's, was married. And she and her husband, not a contentious divorce, that just decided, we kind of lost interest and we should go our separate ways. They were still friends and they were separated, living different places. And she develops a relationship with another man and becomes pregnant. And this man is a highly respected attorney in this area, geographic area, fairly powerful. And so for 2 years he treats her like a queen and helps her out and gives her child support and does all this stuff like a normal man would do. And as soon as 2 years hits, he says, go screw yourself, we're done. And she goes, excuse me? He says, you were legally married at the time you became pregnant in the state of California. Usually a child is of the marriage. If you're married, the child goes with the marriage. I guess it's back when you had to put on metal armor and you went to the Crusades, you put a lockbox on the vagina and you came back and there were only 16 kids, but since there was a lockbox, nobody could have sex with her, so they were all your kids. Okay. So these days there's no lock anymore. And there's 2 year rule in California. You have 2 years to contest the paternity. 2 years. Well, it never happened, right? So he said, the child's of the marriage, go to your husband, go to your ex-husband for child support. So she was defrauded in the process of this child. by a man who held himself, the legitimate biodad holding himself as a legitimate biodad, and then saying, go back to the other man who's not the biodad. I guess it's not exactly paternity fraud, but it's close. Okay. And she appealed and took it to one courthouse and lost and lost and lost until this last one. And now this guy's selling everything he's on and hiding his money because he's going down. As he should.
I'm confused though. It's not like he tricked her into a pregnancy, right?
No.
I mean, so really the one that's screwed in the process is her husband.
Well, she didn't go back on him. They're still friends. She wouldn't do that. She didn't do that. She said, I'm not doing that. It's not fair. That's not right. She's quite a woman. Quite a woman. And she's gone through a lot because of this. But she knows now that she might be able to use this to help this affect some legislative reform on a national basis. It's really a good story for politicians. I mean, it's something you can, male politicians, female politicians, they can all wrap their arms around it.
Interesting. So it's funny. October says, I don't know, Anita. Men like my father love not being held accountable for the multiple children he knew were his. This is an example of that. This gentleman, this woman who was married, she was separated from her husband and she took up with another man. And her and that man created a child together. And that man took responsibility for the 2-year window in the state of California. And at the end of those 2 years, that's when he wanted to back out of it. He realized, you know what? This child was conceived while this woman was still legally married. So that assumption of paternity puts the onus on her husband, not the man. So this was the man's way of shirking his responsibility. He realized that he could back out and say, nope, this child was conceived during her marriage. She was still legally married to this man. It's his legal child. And this woman went to court after court after court because she knew better. She didn't want to do that to her husband. She knew that this wasn't his child and that wasn't right. So she's now an advocate for women against paternity fraud because she knew that wasn't right. And she wanted to keep her child's biological father held accountable. But it's kind of sad that the laws and the courts were on his side initially. Like, yeah, it's the husband's, it's his financial responsibility. It's his child. So we're going to listen to her story next. All right. High Vibe says, I knew someone who was conceived during a separation. Her mother was single, but the father was still legally married. He went back to his wife. He didn't tell his wife about the baby. Yeah, that's a whole thing. Malcolm says, I always hear some women say that men can trap women with kids, but if a woman can terminate a pregnancy at any time, how can they trap you? No, there is no such thing as a man trapping a woman. That is a woman skirting her accountability. All she has to do is get on the 99.9% birth control or keep her legs closed. There is no trapping a woman unless that man holds her down and, takes it. There is no trapping a woman. And just as you stated, even if a pregnancy did occur, she can go and terminate the pregnancy. There is no trapping a woman. That is a woman trying to avoid accountability. So I'm not buying it. Not buying it. Okay. High Vibe says she met her half brother in college. Wow. That's crazy. Perfect example, the rapper Offset and Cardi B. Unbelievable. There you go. There's a modern day version of this. Technically, Cardi B's child was conceived in her legal marriage to Offset. So depending on the state, was it New York? Is it New York, where Cardi B lives? Offset is responsible for the child, which is absolutely crazy. That's absolutely crazy to me. All right, we're going to listen to the lady's story. She's going to tell her story about what happened. This is a crazy story, but it happened.
I'm a victim of paternity fraud myself.
How so?
I was legally separated from my ex-husband and became involved with my daughter's biological father. We had a daughter together, and for 2 years he had a relationship with my daughter, paid child support, we had a relationship, and then after the second year he decided, I'm going to use the presumption of marriage law. He took my ex-husband to court to say he's now the legal father, I'm not, I'm out of the loop. We fought for about 11 years.
She was not going to perpetuate a lie to her child, and because of that, now her child is actually fatherless. According to the state of California, her child has no father because she wouldn't pin the wrong man.
Crazy. This woman fought for 11 years. That is insane. There must be new laws and legislation around this. 11 years that this woman fought to not pin this child that is not her ex-husband's biological child on him. And honestly, thank God this woman has a conscience. Thank God she's a good woman, that she wouldn't even think to do something like that. This is crazy. All right. This has been going on for years. Ain't nothing new under the sun. I agree. And UFO Kamikaze was saying Maury Povich. Let's see. He was talking about Maury Povich. Yeah, I'm going to show a couple of Maury Povich clips. And let me tell y'all, Maury Povich built his entire brand off You Are Not the Father. That's his entire brand. That's how he made all of his money on these paternity, shows. That's all of his money. His entire show was, in my humble opinion, based on finding out the paternity. Okay? Yeah. He said it's crazy to me too. Yeah, I can't even believe it. They spent time between Georgia and New Jersey while married. Okay. Yeah, this is a wild story. But thank goodness the woman is a decent woman. And she's like, I'm going to fight this. This is crazy. It's crazy. Plain Doctor 432 says, in college, I had a woman put a baby on me for 9 years and finally got a blood test, and I didn't get no apology or nothing, just silence. That is crazy. And let me tell you all, once they find out that the child is not theirs, they don't return the money. You can't return the time. Like, do you understand how traumatizing, how detrimental that is to a man? I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine living through some sort of deceit like this. She said, hey, y'all, remember that Maury Povich show veteran Marisol? I don't, but I've watched hundreds of episodes of the You Are Not the Father preparing for this live. So I'm surprised I didn't come across it. They couldn't wait to call me a deadbeat. Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy. Because I told them it wasn't mine. She moved back home. That's crazy to me. Y'all, it gets worse. There are some crazy stories. All right, we're going to watch another one where this gentleman who lives in Tennessee, and apparently back in 2023, they tried to change laws in Tennessee. I'm going to read to you what happened, but this gentleman's story comes to us out of Tennessee.
Burning question one Memphis man has been trying to answer for years. Why is Shelby County Juvenile Court forcing him to pay for a child that is not biologically his? What's even more unusual, he says the judges at juvenile court have an idea who the real father is.
Yet they're still demanding he pay up. Now he's turning to On Your Side investigator Stephanie Skurlock for help.
Talk show TV makes millions off the catchphrase, "You are not the father." But the reality in Memphis is just because you're not the daddy doesn't mean Shelby County Juvenile Court won't make you pay.
I was down there in handcuffs and chains.
Over the years, Edward Bowdery had his driver's license stripped and once even found himself in handcuffs over child support payments for a child that's not his.
I would hate to see somebody else go through the same thing. I've been going through this. Headaches.
This mound of paperwork shows a juvenile court judge ordered him to pay child support even before the birth.
I didn't do a voluntary acknowledgement. I didn't sign the birth certificate. All I knew is we legitimated the child in your name.
Bowdery asked several judges during several hearings for a DNA test, but no judge ordered one.
I said, how did I even get put on child support? And I never said this was my child. And they said, again, this is not what we're here for.
In 2009, he took the child himself to get a DNA test and found the son he'd supported for years was not biologically his. He took the documentation to court. The judge wouldn't accept it, but ordered a new DNA test done that showed the same results. Probability of paternity, 0%.
They never did do what they were originally supposed to do, which was give me the opportunity to take a DNA test. I was just a voice not being heard, so I guess I needed a choir.
Juvenile Court Magistrate Nancy Kessler agreed in October to allow Bowdery to disestablish paternity, but only after, he says, she admonished him for taking it this far.
The judge stated that, well, I find it very distasteful that you're bastardizing a child.
The judge stopped the child support going forward, but Bowdery still has to pay $460 a month to the mother in back pay. He doesn't believe he should have to pay anything. In fact, he believes someone owes him money, the $30,000 he's already paid.
This is insanity. Like, when I tell you all, I am doing research for this and my blood is boiling. My blood is boiling as I'm watching video after video after video. This is what we are doing. We are making these men pay thousands and thousands of dollars for these children that are not theirs. And even after this gentleman provided proof and the court got proof, he still owes back child support. Like, this world is wicked and backwards. Something has to change. Something has to change. This is unacceptable. And here's the truth of the matter. In all of these stories, all of them, I only found one story where the woman had to pay back child support. I think I'm actually going to show you the video of one story. There was one story where the woman had to pay back child support and she was put on some sort of payment plan. But even the court acknowledged that she's probably not going to pay the total amount. Like, this is insane. So let me read to you this. This is what I found in Tennessee. All right. Tennessee is not the first state to have mandatory DNA testing for paternity, and there is no state or federal law in the United States that requires DNA testing to establish paternity before signing a birth certificate. While proposed legislation such as Tennessee HB 2698 in 2022 has aimed to require DNA testing for unmarried fathers before adding their names to a birth certificate, these specific measures did not pass into law. All 50 states, including Tennessee, use a voluntary acknowledgement of paternity program, allowing parents to establish paternity via a signed form rather than a DNA test. When testing is required, DNA testing is not universally mandatory, but is required in Tennessee and most states when paternity is contested or when a court of child support agency orders it in a contested case. Tennessee law update. While Tennessee did not pass mandatory DNA testing in 2023, Tennessee Governor Bill Lee signed a law making it a Class B misdemeanor to knowingly and falsely establish paternity with the intent to deprive the actual biological parent of rights. But this law does not mandate DNA testing for all unwed fathers. Claims that Tennessee, Florida, Maryland, or Ohio have passed laws requiring DNA testing for every birth are false, often appearing as fact check scams on social media. So the one piece of legislation that we had, it was in the state of Tennessee, it did not pass. And even this idea of wanting to convict women who falsely proclaim a man as the father of her child, it is a Class B misdemeanor. It is still a misdemeanor. This is absolutely insane. Oh my gosh. Absolutely insane. She says, I'm lost. How? Yeah, this is, and people wonder why men are checking out. Like, yeah, this will do it. Like, how is this real? I live under a rock because I didn't know this was a thing. Ugh, and these poor children suffer. Yeah, this is crazy. Like, I have spent the entire week just getting educated about this and doing research about this. And like I said, every time I look at this, my blood is boiling. And then I have to calm down and say, okay, Anita, calm down. Just report the facts. But yes, please report the facts. People need to know about this, that this is happening a lot. And this is not even a few people here, a few people there. No, this is a lot. There are a lot of cases. He said, I'm all the way lost. Yeah. Oh yeah, women don't ever have to pay back child support. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's unbelievable. They really need to give that man his money back. He should have gotten a lawyer to sort everything out properly. Well, I mean, he can't afford a lawyer because he spent thousands of dollars paying this woman for a child that isn't his, expecting him to pay back support for a child that isn't even his. Yeah, it's shocking. It is. Like I said, my blood has been boiling all week. Thank you, October. 17 likes, 37 people. Please hit the like button. Thank you so much for the reminder. I appreciate you. How about paternity tests be mandatory in order to receive child support? So as far as I know, I'm going to read to you about the state of Virginia. That is the case in the state in which I live. So in Virginia, a father can generally establish paternity at any time before the child turns 18. While voluntary acknowledgement is easiest at birth, legal paternity can be established later through DNA testing or court order. However, acting early is crucial for establishing custody, visitation, and child support rights. So in the state in which I live, here are some of the laws. The easiest method is signing an acknowledgement of paternity form at the hospital, though it can be done later. If the AOP is not signed, a request can be filed with the Division of Child Support Enforcement or Juvenile and Domestic Relations District Court until the child is 18. If a child is born to a married couple, paternity is already legally established. So it is assumed the child is the husband's. If a voluntary acknowledgement is signed, there is a limited time to challenge it without proof of fraud or duress. But in the state of Virginia, in order to go through child support enforcement, yes, there has to be a DNA test ordered. Night Call says, I live in Tennessee and I can go ahead and tell you that law bill has been rejected several times. Anytime that the bill gets revised, rewritten, it immediately gets rejected. That is insanity. That's crazy. Wow, that's crazy. Believe all women existed in many ways long before the movement. It really did. Because as I've stated, we thought women were sugar and spice and everything nice. We've always been touted as the fairer sex. But we have to throw all of that out. That's not real anymore. That's not real. And I was talking to my mom tonight, and my mom's 83? She turned 83 this past week. And she was like, it is hard to believe because, the women of her day would never. They would never. And now I told her, I said, Mom, these women today, they're not like your day. If I'm not mistaken, and someone please correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought that Texas was the only state in America that views the child as the product of marriage. So if you marry a woman, here in Virginia, if you have a kid, but the kid is not biologically yours, if you get a divorce, you could be made to pay child support. That's true in the state of Virginia. Paternity is established by marriage. So if your wife cheats on you, that's your kid. Okay. All you can do as a husband here in the state of Virginia is leave her, but she can get child support from you. Dr. L says taking care of the child and receiving money from the feds is more important than establishing paternity. They want the money, don't matter how, is on the certificate. Yep. And there's an article here on Women Against Paternity Fraud where it talks about that. A big reason why the government is not going to do anything about it is the money. These government programs and Medicaid and food stamps and all of this stuff, if they can stick someone with the child support, that's what they're going to do. And they don't care if it's the biological father or not. They're going to stick someone with the bill. The government needs you to pay, period. Paternity can be determined before birth via amniocentesis. You are correct. Most women are not going to do that because of the potential risk. Most women are not going to do that, but you are exactly right. You can. I have heard of people doing that. Correct. When the procedure was done a little over 10 years ago, there were risks of complications, but since then they've ironed out those complications. Doctors would say to wait until birth. Yeah, that's my understanding too. Most women are not going to do that. Happy birthday, Mom. Whose birthday? Let's see. The real CMPLX. Okay. Oh, it's your mom's birthday. Oh, my mom's birthday. Yeah. Her birthday was April 9th. Yeah. She turned 83. There also seems to be, again, another way to keep Black men tethered to the system. These laws would be rewritten if almost 70% of white households were led by women. It's like I said, it's crazy. It's hard to believe, but I found case after case where this is happening. So yeah. Dr. Anwar, they must be afraid of the entire financial system being disrupted or some sort of civil unrest. Yeah, because they need the money. They need the money. So they're not going to change these laws. That's crazy that these people are going to suffer. Okay, here is a Black female attorney in Atlanta, and I really appreciated her video and her message. Her video was much longer, but I'm going to show you a brief snippet of her video because it definitely, I approve this message. This is what I always say to people when they ask me about this touchy subject. So I'm going to let her give her quick message.
Terry S. Herring, you're a divorce and family law attorney here in the state of Georgia. And today I want to talk to you about paternity test. And no, it is not a bad word. Women, it is not a bad word. Men, it is not a bad word. Stop letting people guilt trip you into not doing a paternity test. I cannot tell you how many paternity tests I've actually seen come back and it's not the father's child. And we're talking 13 years in, 14 years in, 15 years in. You're not going to get that child support money back. So listen, if you have a 1% doubt that that's your child, get the paternity test. Definitely get a paternity test done, okay? All right, so yeah, it's going to cost you up front. But I'd rather it cost me a little bit up front and I find out that this is either my child or not my child. So let me just tell you.
Okay. Did y'all hear that PSA? Don't let nobody guilt you into not getting a paternity test. I just recently, last month, my client came in tears and told me that her 21-year-old son just found out that his ex-girlfriend was pregnant and claimed he was the father. And I told my client, my female client, I said, look, you put a pin in that until that child is born, because she said, oh, the mother has been calling and she wants the whole family to get together and figure out what we're gonna do. No, we ain't gonna do nothing until paternity is established. And how she feels about that is how she feels about it. Okay? How her daughter feels about it, how she feels about it. That's just how you feel about it. But this idea that we're going to shame people, that we're going to, let people make us feel a way about protecting ourselves. I told her, I said, And look, the client said he hasn't been with her in 3 months. Y'all, you know what I said. I said, no. You put a pin in that and let them sort it out for now. And when the child is born, we will sort it out then. But stop letting people guilt trip you into not having a paternity test. That is insane. That is crazy to me. All right. He says, question, if the majority of people in politics are men, why have bills for mandatory paternity testing been so challenging, difficult to pass? You would think that men would naturally vote for this. Night call, let me hip you to something. We live in a gynocentric society. Do you understand that men have been indoctrinated for thousands of years through white knight syndrome, through cuckoldry, through all kind of chivalry, all kind of ways. Our society is gynocentric. Men are not going to upset the apple cart and piss their women off. I've had so many men tell me that. Well, if men are in power, why don't they pass these laws? Why don't they advocate for this? Because they don't want to piss their women off. Our society is gynocentric by nature. Our society circles around what's best for women and children. I think it should circle around what's best for children, but it also focuses on women and what women want. And it has for a very long time. So that's why the financial stuff of it is so much, it's so layered. He said, so Texas and Virginia, thank you. I learned something new today. I think that's true in a lot of states. I think that marriage is assumed paternity. As crazy as that is, marriage is assumed paternity. The woman is married to this man. The baby must be his. And God help him if he wants a paternity test. That's a problem. He said, Dr. L, I've heard about France and the Caribbean islands. If I'm not mistaken, the prime minister was at fear of making paternity tests legal due to the increased femicide that could occur. Okay. So if they find out the baby is not theirs, somebody's getting taken out. Question, will a court accept a third-party paternity test that was not ordered by the court? No, not here in Virginia. So if the father secretly has a paternity test done, can that be presented in front of the court and accepted? Not in Virginia, it can't. You can bring it to the Child Support Enforcement Agency, and then they're going to order a paternity test. They're going to serve you and the mother. And look, a lot of these men are trying to keep from pissing the mother off, and you need to let that thought die. This whole idea that you're going to do it behind her back and somehow circumvent her, you need to let that die. You need to let that die. You need to let her know, hey, there is a 1% thought in my head that this child may not be mine. I need to know for sure. I need to know factually. Okay? And this whole idea of, I just don't want to piss her off. No, let that die. Let that go. Okay, we all have to admit at this point that paternity fraud and the way that our country has handled it makes as much sense as a goldfish owning a bicycle. Yeah, it's horrible. Absolutely horrible. It is absolutely crazy. All right, I want to play a Maury video. Let's have a little bit of fun here. Cuz man, I mean, thousands of videos. There are thousands of them.
Ask you one thing. If you are the father of this child, you will take care of this child, won't you?
Yeah, like I do all my
I'm dropping
kids.
them off in front of your house, goddamn. We're going to be right there. We're going to be on the front. You'll answer the front. We're going to go to the back. And you know I know what kind of car you drive, so I'm going to stand there until you come out.
Let's find out right now. You got it. Right now. In the case of 2-year-old Darjavian, Tristan, you are not the father. Very sorry. And we'll be glad to help you, but he's not the father. Unfortunately, he is not the father. Okay, but it's not his, all right? It's not Tristan's. You want to say anything to him? You want to tell him you're sorry?
My bad.
You accept
I will.
I'll accept the apology.
My bad. My bad. I just had you pay child support for umpteen many years. I just humiliated you on public television, on national television. I just talked about you like a dog to everybody who would listen. My bad. This is insanity. Like, this is absolute insanity that this is y'all, because I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I really didn't watch Maury Povich like that back in the day. I really didn't. I really was not a big television watcher. And so as I'm preparing for this show and I'm like watching all of these Maury Povich shows, I'm like, oh my God, this is like a whole thing. It's like, I had no idea. There was a woman on one of these Maury Povich shows. Now, I did not clip it. The woman brought 22. She brought 22 men to the Maury Povich show for DNA testing. I am just like, my mouth is on the floor. Like, this cannot be real that this is happening. Okay, let's watch another one.
Oh boy. When it comes to 1-year-old Ashlyn, Jeremy, you are not the father. Do you want to apologize to him? Do you want to apologize to Jeremy or not?
No.
Okay, but do you want us to help you?
No.
Do you want us to help you in any way? Because we can. We can. If you want us to find the father, we will. All right? Do you have anything to say to him?
No.
No? Nothing?
No.
Nothing to say. This is what a lack of female accountability looks like. That's what it looks like. You just saw a perfect example of a woman who will not take responsibility or accountability. She has nothing to say. And it's what's so wild about these Maury videos is they're all the same. Like, it's like a script. So I don't know if they fed them this to do that. When they find out he's not the father, they run off stage, they run back behind stage, they cry. I mean, it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy how, they all respond. And yet 5 minutes earlier, they were, oh, I know you the daddy, you deadbeat. Like, I mean, you talk about grade A humiliation. Grade A humiliation on national television. She said, Maury show is so ghetto, but it's sad because a woman knows who the father is. It is. It is. And the fact that she would sit there knowing full well that there was a possibility that another man was the father. That is just blows my mind. The entitlement, the gall, as we used to say, that you would do that. That's crazy. She says, what is wrong with these women? I grew up watching this show, but stopped watching because I couldn't stomach these thoughts screaming only to be embarrassed. Yeah, this is insanity. My bad. Like she's not the one with the female part. Boo hoo. Yes. Lord, I always thought Maury was fake. Now, maybe it is. Somebody else has said that to me too, that I think all of it is staged. Maybe it is, but this is insane. Okay, this is my last Maury clip. Now, I take issue with this Maury clip because this is gaslighting to its finest. Like this, Maury was diabolical in his gaslighting. The fact that he would gaslight these men and try to talk these men into taking care of these children that were not theirs, that's diabolical in my humble opinion. That's crazy. That is crazy. Last video of Maury.
Yes, it have. How come? Because she cheated on me. And she said it, you cheating on me? I ain't never cheated on you. And then look at his skin complexion. Look at his skin complexion. Look at me.
Yeah, but you know, I read that your family thinks that it's yours.
Yes, they do think Trenton is mine. Really do. If he's not my child, I'm still gonna treat him like I've been treating him. I'm still gonna raise him. I'm still gonna be there for him.
Are you gonna go out for milk?
Yes,
you have to get
I'm
milk?
gonna go out for milk.
Okay.
I'm gonna go out for
All right, well, we're gonna find out right now. When it comes to one-year-old Trenton, Mario, you are not the father. This is your man. You share a child. He will be a father to this child. He said he would be a father to this child. Okay? All right? He's not the father. He's not the birth father. But he's there every single day, okay? All right? Mario, this is very painful for her, okay? If you have any feeling for her, you will be a father to this child.
I'm gonna still be there for them, Mark.
Okay? She can't write off what happened. What happened, happened. You know, you can't not think about it. But at the same time, you can move on. And you can be a family together. You share another child.
And then we is gonna move on.
Okay? Good for you. I'm glad.
This gentleman gets Simp of the Year. And Maury should be shot for gaslighting this dude into, oh, you already have another child together. You need to stay with her. You need to No, he does not. No, he does not. And had the audacity to say, this woman's in pain. What? Like, I couldn't believe it when I saw it. You gonna sit here and convince this man to stay with this cheating woman? This is insanity. And this dude right here gets Simp of the Year. Like, this is insane. She said, I remember one guest came with his mother and even thought that little boy was his because he did look just like him. Come to find out he wasn't. Let me tell y'all something. I have a son and he could never come into my home and announce to me, married or not, yeah, this woman I'm with is having a baby, and me not say out of my mouth, please confirm the child's paternity. And look, he could hate me, y'all. He could hate me. And I'm going to say it. I just want to give a great big shout out to Night Call 411. Thank you so much for the $20. He said, thank you. And Dr. L and High Vibe for making a platform to have conversations like this. I know this tip isn't a lot, but this is from people like me that appreciate what you do and the work you put into it. It is a lot, and I appreciate you. I so appreciate you. I appreciate everyone who comes onto these lives, who comments, all of it. I appreciate all of it. All of it. It lets me know, it validates me and lets me know that we're on to something. We are on to something, and we have to have these conversations. We do. There's so many people and women. There are women who don't even recognize that this is happening. That's the number one reason why I'm doing shows like this on my platform, because there are women that don't recognize this is a problem. This is a problem, and women need to check it. We need to check other women. That's what has to start happening. Okay, damn her, Maury. I know, it's crazy. This was the craziest one. I was like, are we really comforting this woman? Are we really telling this man to stay with this cheating woman? This is insane. He said, okay, Black Republican says, I'm dealing with child support and paternity issues next month. God bless you. God bless you. Yep. Because I don't know. That woman made decisions. She sure did. And look, did y'all catch at the beginning where she said, I was already pregnant when I cheated on you? I'm just like, Lord, just throw the whole earth away. That was her reasoning for the baby being his. Yeah, I know I cheated on you, but I was already pregnant when that happened. Oh Lord, y'all, I can't do this much longer. The man's ego is in pain. It's obliterated. It's obliterated. And look, I'm in the middle. Let me get my phone and tell y'all the book. It's called The Moral Animal. So I'm in the middle of listening to The Moral Animal, Why We Are the Way We Are, The New Science of Evolutionary Psychology by Robert Wright. I am in the chapter now that talks about cuckoldry. It talks about men who are taking care of children that are not biologically theirs. And that is the highest form of cuckoldry for a man, to be with a woman that it is known. It is known in the village. It is known in the town square that this woman has been with other men, and the children that this man is taking care of are not his. That is a well-known thing. It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. I almost want to tell all of my male friends, if they can afford it, try and get a vasectomy and put your sperm on ice. So at least when you meet that right person and you can choose to have kids. You know, that's interesting you say that, Night Call 411. One of the things that I talked about to one of my younger male friends, so I have a male friend who's 38, and I actually did talk with him about cataloging his sperm. We actually talked about that. I told him that he should catalog his sperm. And what that means is, just like a woman can freeze her eggs, a man can go to a sperm bank and he can leave several samples of his sperm, freeze it, and then go get a vasectomy. That's the thing. And we talked about it. And we talked about, he was like, well, how much you think it's going to cost? You know, how long do I have to do it? You know, like we talked at length about it, because he told me once I hit 45, if I don't have any children, I don't see myself having any children. I said, okay. But if you have that vasectomy now at 38 and you have several samples of your sperm frozen in a sperm bank, if you turn 45 and you don't meet the love of your life, you're good. But plan to have a child. Plan to have a child. Don't just go off half cocked shooting up the club Oh my goodness. Yeah, we talked about that. And I was like, yeah, you need to put some things in play. This thing is dangerous. Maury wouldn't tell his own son to do that, especially as much money as Maury has. Yeah, I was sickened by that. I like, get out of here. I feel like I'm missing something. Where is the woman's accountability for the sake of her child who didn't ask to be here? Well, you heard the other story where the young black man in Tennessee said, "Oh, and the judge admonished me. He admonished me. She admonished me for bastardizing the child. Like, how dare I withdraw paternity? Forget the fact that the child is not biologically mine. She admonished him for now bastardizing the child. Why don't you talk to the child's mother? Why don't you ask the child's mother why she didn't go after the biological child? Why are you talking to a man who is not the biological child's father? That is insane. That'll never happen. Women never shame each other. Well, you got one right here. I volunteer as tribute to stand up and tell a woman about herself. I'm not taking relationship advice from you. No offense. Okay. Yeah, like I said, I hate to agree with you, but it does look that way. Well, you got one right here. That's what I do all day, every day. That's what I do all day, every day, is hold women accountable. The show promised them a few dollars for temporary fame, and they made millions. Free agent ATL, thank you. Yeah, just here to clear my name. Okay. Okay. I need to get a copy of that book. Yeah, that this read about evolutionary psychology. That is what actually started the whole red pill. The red pill is rooted in evolutionary psychology. It just went left. Okay, she might have had one, but I had 100. Book name again. All right, I'm gonna put it in the chat, and then I'm going to show you all another video. This is a this case was also wild. This is a wild case. I want y'all to listen to this video about this young man. And, you know, I'm going to keep it real. This young man's stupidity got him in trouble, unfortunately. But this is still a really wild paternity case. But I want you to check out this video.
Insane paternity fraud story recently was just arrested and made to take down all of his videos. It's a lot, but I'll give you the quick breakdown. So Brett is a young man who ends up getting approached by an older woman named Maria who asks him to be her sperm donor. She convinces him with paperwork and everything that it's all on the up and up. He's not going to be legally responsible for this child. Despite this arrangement and them only having a one-night stand to complete this arrangement, Maria ends up finding Brett's mom and grandma and tells them that she's pregnant with Brett's child and convinces them that he should be involved with the pregnancy. His mom and grandma now want to be a part of the baby's life, so they convince Brett that he should be too. So he agrees to start paying child support. But after a little over a year, having paid now $55,000 to this woman for this baby, he ends up taking a paternity test and finds out the baby isn't even his. Not only that, but Brett finds out that Maria likely knew who the real father was this entire time, but refused to disclose it because the real father was married to another woman at the time. So Brett Farrelly, who went viral for his insane paternity fraud story recently, was just arrested and made to take down all of his videos. It's a lot, but I'll give you the quick breakdown. So Brett is a young man who ends up getting approached by an older woman named Maria who asks him to be her sperm donor. She convinces him with paperwork and everything that it's all on the up and up. He's not going to be legally responsible for this child. Despite this arrangement and them only having a one-night stand to complete this arrangement, Maria ends up finding Brett's mom and grandma and tells them that she's pregnant with Brett's child and convinces them that he should be involved with the pregnancy. His mom and grandma now want to be a part of the baby's life, so they convince Brett that he should be too. So he agrees to start paying child support. But after a little over a year, having paid now $55,000 to this woman for this baby, he ends up taking a paternity test and finds out the baby isn't even his. Not only that, but Brett finds out that Maria likely knew who the real father was this entire time, but refused to disclose it because the real father was married to another woman at the time. Oops! So Brett goes to court for paternity fraud, asking for his name to be taken off the birth certificate, child support to end, and to be paid back for all the child support he did pay. In a kind of surprising victory, the courts actually do agree to end Brett's parental and child support obligations, but they don't make Maria pay him back, and I'm pretty sure his name is still on the birth certificate. The judge also assigns a mutual restraining order for the both of them, meaning that neither of them can ever talk about this case again. Basically a gag order. But according to Brett, Maria broke this order almost immediately by contacting his family, telling them that he's a deadbeat who abandoned his child. So Brett decides that he too is going to defy the order and clear his name. And that's when he made a multi-part series detailing all the lies, how he got played, and also his own mistakes along the way to help educate other men. I actually remember one interview where Brett was asked what he would tell his younger self if he could, and he said that if he had ever heard a story even remotely similar to what he went through, he would have never been in that situation. So his story does have the ability to prevent this from happening. But obviously the courts don't want this story out there. Why? It just makes you wonder, especially when you consider that in other countries like France, it's actually illegal for men to perform paternity tests on their kids without the mother's permission because, in their words, it would destabilize the community. And honestly, this whole concept that you have to prove paternity fraud is also crazy to me because it's like, did she say the kid was his? Did the DNA test say that it isn't? Seems to me that there was pretty clear deception involved. But we do have to learn from this, and honestly, this is why a lot of guys are very hesitant to sign anything until they get that DNA test. This is also why I think it's really important for women to stop taking DNA tests so personally and making it this big relationship-ending deal. You should want to be able to offer your man that reassurance, and you should also want that reassurance yourself. After all, hospital switch-ups do happen to women too. They can shut him up, but they can't shut us all up, and men need to hear this stuff. Men deserve to know if their kid is theirs or not without being shamed for wanting to know that.
Amen. And gentlemen in the chat, you would be surprised. You would be surprised to know that there are a lot of female advocates. There are a lot of women who speak out about this stuff and other stuff. Because the truth is, it hurts us all. We cannot let these women run roughshod. We cannot let these women run amok because it hurts all of us. So yes, there are female advocates who are stepping up and they are holding women accountable. And I believe the numbers are rising. I believe now that feminism has reached its peak state, it's now going to start doing this. That's what I personally believe, that we're going to see that pendulum is going to start swinging back the other way. And there are going to be more and more advocates that are women that are saying, nope, we cannot let this fly. I know the video said that he paid child support for a little over a year, but $55,000, that would mean that his child support would have been a little under $4,500 a month. He paid child support, I think it was longer than that. I got a more detailed, I have a 2-hour video about this guy. I couldn't play all 2 hours. He was on the Whatever podcast, and he went into every dirty detail on that podcast. But this guy, you know, he was young and dumb and impressionable. He agreed to be the father of the woman's baby, and he had sex with her once. And come to find out that one sex act didn't lead to her getting pregnant. She had sex with his friends. She had sex with some other guy. Like, she had sex with a lot of guys. And no, he wound up, you know, coming to find out he wasn't the biological father. But he was naive, unfortunately. He, you know, kind of played into that. He said, Dr. L said, exactly. They don't want the story out there because guys would pull back, thus no more babies. Yeah, this is crazy. I feel sick to my stomach. Yep, this is crazy. The family court system sucks. Yeah, it's got to change. It's got to change. Extremism is on the way out. It is. And I just want y'all to know that and believe that. That feminine pendulum is coming back. We can't maintain where we are. And I think women don't want to. We're sick of it. We're like, you know what? This is a lie. I'm paternity fraud proof, vasectomy, LOL. Good for you. And again, I've been telling men, get a vasectomy. That is a way to take complete and total power of your fertility. And I don't know why more men don't do it. I know plenty of guys that have done it. Okay, so, yep, get a vasectomy. All right, you all, I'm going to show you one last video and then we're going to wrap up. This other one is too long, y'all. This video is too long, but I am going to end it on this good note. I really enjoyed this gentleman's video. He's going to talk a little bit about the legislation in Tennessee. He's going to show another guy's video, but he's going to give you all some really great advice at the end. I really enjoyed this video. I enjoyed his mature advice and his mature stance on all of this. So I'm going to play this one last and then we're going to wrap up.
The mix of paternity tests must happen in the state of Tennessee after this bill is passed for there to be any kind of child support. And then if you lie about it, then you face jail time, which I believe is the right thing. Now, there's this video. I'm going to leave a link in the description to this man's TikTok. I don't really do TikTok, but I saw this on another video and I wanted to make sure that I reacted to this. But take a listen to what this man says.
All right, so those of you who are in Tennessee, guess what? House Bill 2689 is getting ready to pass. That is requiring paternity tests before you sign the birth certificate. Because, you know, when people do paternity tests, 1/3 of the time, they end up not being the father. And if they start testing everybody, that number can only go up, not down.
True.
It's going to be dramatic. And right now they're starting to also add in things like, you know, maternity fraud is a crime, a punishable.
It should be a punishable crime.
Guys
it should be.
Used to go to jail for not paying child support on a child that wasn't theirs because the state wants to get their money. Because if there is no father to pay for the child support, somebody has to pay for it. So they push it onto the nearest person that could be a father figure.
Stupid.
And
it's dumb.
They're actually starting to jail time the ladies for maternity fraud.
Which they should.
Because it is such a rampant crime.
Yes, it is a crime.
And yes, it's a crime.
As he says. So, you guys hear that? In Tennessee, they will punish women who lie about a man, the son's paternity or child's paternity. They will punish them and jail time, which I believe is right. Mm-hmm. A man who is not a biological father, who misses child support, will be put in jail. That's not right. What is right is a woman claiming a man is the father of a child that's not really the father of the child. Mm-hmm. Now, here's the problem. Today's day, waiting till marriage is no longer a good idea. It's archaic. It's old-fashioned. You got to test the car before you drive it. Men, you think this is a good thing for you. It's not. It's not. Because if you are sleeping with a woman and they do get pregnant, you will be held accountable. But ladies, if you are in a situation where you're not faithful to a man, or you're sleeping with multiple, and you pick a man out of the litter and he's not the father, you will be consequenced, and it's only right. Here's a problem with this whole modern thought on ality. You know the word. Don't want to be demonetized. So guys, we really got to start making changes. And I'm glad that this bill is being passed in the state of Tennessee. And I'm hoping that other states will incorporate this as well, because this is what justice looks like. This is what justice looks like. For years, I've been saying men need to start rallying for laws just like this one. Mm-hmm. And I'm also saying, men, stop sleeping around.
Exactly.
Marry the woman that you desire to have a family with, and then enjoy the benefits of a marriage. Ladies, same with you. If it is your body, your choice, and you choose to sleep around, you need to be held accountable with your action. Be responsible for your decisions. Plain and simple.
That's it. And how about this? Let's go a step further. Thank you so much. Wrong Way 1965. He says like and sub to the channel. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Let's add this, you all. Even in marriage, if there is any doubt, if there is a lick of doubt, I want you to have an understanding that paternity will be established. But for all of you out there who are not married, he's 100% right. You're out here having all this recreational sex, forgetting that sex is the one time that men and women get to play God. You get to create a new life, but you think it's all fun and games. You think it's, it's just, it makes me feel good. It's all fun and games. It's just chilling. It's just, Anita, why are you, saying that we gotta, abstain, and why we gotta get married? Can I keep it all the way live? There are benefits to being a Christian. There are benefits to being a devout Christian. There are benefits to following God's word and God's law. And this is one of them. I don't have these problems because I am devout in my faith. So when I was married, I wasn't sleeping around on my husband. No. I remember in our divorce, he asked for a paternity test for all of the kids. And I showed up, swabbed. I was like, swab me. Sir, what? Sure. Because I've never felt a way. Why would I ever feel a way about a man that I was married to, a man that I was faithful to, giving him a paternity test for our kids? I'm never going to feel a way about that. So stop sleeping around. Stop taking all these chances with these strange women. I can't say it no other way. You are taking a chance every time you lay down with a strange woman that you don't know, especially in 2026. I don't care how you feel about that, but that's how I feel about it. So you're taking a chance, gentlemen. You are taking a chance every time that you have casual sex, unprotected sex. You're taking a chance. Thank you, SZ333. He says it doesn't take away anything. A man can still ejaculate normally and everything. The only difference is that the seminal fluid contains no semen. Everything is the same other than that. And like I said, I know that to be true because I know 3 men that I'm close to that have all had vasectomies. And they're like, yeah, nothing is different, Anita. There's no sperm in my fluid. There's no active sperm in my fluid, but the fluid still comes out of me when I orgasm. Okay. I said, I agree. So yeah, we can do an episode where we educate men on vasectomy. Kids aren't being properly educated as teenagers. We don't want the judge to wake them up. It's late. Yeah. But this is crazy. How accurate are the paternity tests? 99.90007. They ate the PCR test invented by Kelly Mullis, who has said on video that the PCR test can find anything and anyone depending on the amount of cycles in the test. I'm not familiar with the PCR test, but it's 99.90007. Well, I'm just ugly, so I don't have too much to worry about. Okay. Trust me. Like I said, I'm sure somebody will give you a roll in the hay, and so be mindful. No more playing musical dads. LMAO. Yeah, no. My procedure was outpatient, took 45 minutes to do, and I was standing in line at Subway grabbing a sandwich. Yep, that's exactly what I was told. It is a outpatient, 1 day, and you'll feel some soreness for 2 or 3 days. You'll take Tylenol, but for the most part, you're good. The PCR test was used to find COVID, but the number of cycles were not controlled. Okay, because I didn't know Now, depending on how old this video is, the House bill was already rejected multiple times. Yeah, that video multiple times it's already been rejected, unless this is a new video and it's going back for a fourth time, 2026. No, it's been rejected. This video came out last year, I believe, or the year before. This really should be a punishable offense. It's deeply wrong to accuse a man or place responsibility on him for a child when you know he isn't the father. Situations like that can cause serious emotional and financial harm, and they deserve to be taken seriously. I agree. So they're saying right now in Tennessee, it's a misdemeanor, but I think it needs, like I said, I don't know why we won't hold women accountable. We still will not hold women accountable. A woman and a man can commit the same crime, and the man's sentencing is far more serious than the woman's. And yet we can't see that there is no equality. Even the way women are arrested, the way police interact with women, it is not the same as with a man. And we just will not hold women accountable. We will not, put them in jail for this. But if you put a man's name down at the hospital, yeah. And if it is found out that he is not the father, there should be some sort of repercussions. That's crazy. All right. Men wear condoms. Okay. Like I said, now I don't even know if that's the answer. So sorry for your divorce. Thank you. That video wasn't too long, by the way. Okay. I just wanted to make sure. I have the same play adult games, play adult prices. Yep. Okay. So no, even if you're married, gentlemen, I'm just going to be honest with y'all. Even if you're married, I want you to say to her, hey, would you ever have a problem? Like, if you have any doubt, it is suspicious if a woman does not want to test her children if the man requests. In fact, if she's sure, she should be enthusiastic. So there's no doubt on either side. That's how I felt. And I knew my ex-husband was doing that to trigger me. It didn't trigger me. Not one bit. You the one being unfaithful. What time is the appointment? Where we got to be? Like, what? Man, you talking out the side of your neck. I am a devout Christian woman. Okay, you don't ever have to worry about me. So yeah, yeah. Like I said, I thought it was hilarious. I really did. Women do things like this because they know they can get away with it. Prison time would change that. I agree. But I'm telling y'all, we live in a gynocentric culture. That's the truth. They're not going to do that. The men are not going to pass those laws because it's going to piss women off. They won't get laid. Okay? To reduce tension in the marriage, just make it mandatory. Yeah. But y'all, I don't think it's going to happen. Y'all. I don't. I think the society is gynocentric. I do. And even the men in power do not want to piss their women off. They don't. Dr. L says prison time and mandatory repayment would change the culture. I agree. And I definitely agree with the mandatory repayment. I definitely agree about that. The woman should pay the man's money back. I think men want that more than the jail time because they're like, just give me my money back. Let her stay out so she can work and give me my money back. That is crazy. All right, y'all. It's been a wild ride. Like, I'm just going to be honest with y'all, and then I got to go. It has been a wild ride. This last week, I mean, I knew this was a thing. I didn't know how deep down in the rabbit hole I was going to go. This has been a wild ride. And it has completely changed my thoughts and opinions about all of this. Now, I want to share with you. Let me share with you. I'm going to share my screen. Women Against Paternity Fraud. This is the website. I have decided to get involved with this organization. But even if you go to the articles page, there are stories upon stories Okay, this one says the mother was sentenced to 15 months for falsifying child's paternity to secure a hospital bed. So maybe somebody's getting some consequences here. Yeah, story after story of people. A plus proposes bill to criminalize paternity fraud. And this story, did you all hear about this Laura Owens? She was offered a plea deal in fake pregnancy case involving former Bachelor star Clayton Echard. This is crazy. Yeah, you need to give it back. Dad says after accidentally paying child support for a kid that is not his. This website is full. It is absolutely full of stories of paternity fraud. So I'm going to get involved. I'm going to actually get involved with Women Against Paternity Fraud because, like I said, just this week alone, my eyes have been opened to how prevalent this is. But the truth is, we live in a gynocentric culture. I don't think the men are going to do anything about it. I don't. Payment and punitive damages and emotional suffering. Yep. After everything going on in Texas, people really need to start being more careful and protecting themselves. There's just so much being spread around right now. It's honestly overwhelming. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. Men are 33 to 35% more likely to get a longer and harsher sentence for the same crime that a woman commits. Yep. But yet y'all want equality. But look, there are feminists in 2026 that say we're still not equal. And you know what I say to them? You sure aren't, because you need harsher sentencing. You sure aren't, because you need police officers to pull you from your vehicle and tase you when you talk back. We sure aren't, because we need women to start paying back all of the child support money that they stole from the men in the paternity fraud. You're right. We're not even close to being equal. We need to have women sign up for the draft. You are exactly right. I'm scared straight. I'm saying to myself, Sister J said, I know that's right. Alpha Doug 1914 says men in power will not penalize women because there's no political incentive. You're correct. It's scary down here in Texas. Yeah, you are correct. The men in power are probably unfaithful. They don't want to change the laws because they may be exposed. Yep. I was going to move to Texas back in 2016. I'm glad I stayed right here in Michigan. Good for you. Whew. I'm old enough to remember when sex wasn't so dangerous. STDs and being normalized now is crazy. Yeah, this STD thing, y'all just, like I said, keep it in your pants. Keep it in your pants. Okay. All right. This has been a great show. I appreciate you all. I appreciate you for listening. I appreciate the women who chimed in and you're hearing this information. I hope you all learned something. I hope you understand that this is not a fly by night or, oh, there's only a few cases. This is running rampant. Like, this is running rampant. Okay. I needed you to be educated about it. And as a woman, there is something you can do about it. You can go to Women Against Paternity Fraud and you can start holding other women accountable and responsible, because that is actually what needs to happen. If we're going to turn this thing around, we need women to not only stop the foolishness, but to call out the foolishness. Okay. So people have always said, like, okay, your channel is for women, but it feels like you're bashing women. I am holding women to a higher standard. That's what I'm doing. And you should want that. You should want to be held to a higher standard. That I'm supposed to let the Cardi B's of the world who are still married go off and have a baby with another man? And I'm supposed to sit here and say nothing? Or I'm supposed to do like the other Black women in the comments. Oh, girl. Oh, Stefan is your baby daddy. Oh, go, girl. You look so good, girl. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, that's right. Show Offset, girl. Are y'all crazy? No, that's not happening over here. No, I am calling out the BS. Okay? That's not happening over here. But right now, as far as we know, Offset could be held liable for that child. I got to look up the law where they are, because that's crazy to me. That's insanity. She said, look, how Bob said, it's insanity. Yeah, it's insanity. It is insanity. Thank you so much. Thank you. Great show. Thank you. Thank you, Ezzy. Glad I found your channel, Anita. I love your approach to these current issues. Thank you. Thank you. Night Call 411. Thank you so much. Have a great evening, y'all. Rhonda Payne, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you all. Have a great rest of your night. Hey, be on the lookout tomorrow night. I want you to come back tomorrow night. Monday, what's the date, y'all? Monday is, Lord, I don't know. Monday's the 13th, April 13th at 7:00 p.m. Myself, Crimson Cure, Maggie the Substitute, Jeff St. James, Ask a Brother podcast. We will be live on the first women's panel discussing all kind of issues. So come back tomorrow night at 7:00 p.m. I look forward to seeing you all then. Thank you so much for joining me. And as always, stay open to love.